everybody today? Okay, if we could all find a seat, please and thank you. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cpya Young Adults. We are so excited to see you guys tonight. If you're new, I'd like to just welcome you guys and thank you guys for coming out tonight. If you're a returning person, I'm happy to see you again, and I hope to see you guys all next week. I do have a few announcements. So, first off, I'd like to let you guys know, if you want to get connected, we have a WhatsApp group. You can talk to Emma or Isaiah about that, but it just kind of, we talk about what we're going to do, how we hang out and stuff like that. We also have a small group on Friday nights if you guys would like to get connected in that way and join that. We just have like our little Bible study. We're following the FAM series right now, and you can also talk to Emma, who's in front of me with the yellow shirt and the camera. She'll get you connected on that one, okay? And then we also have something coming up this Thursday. So this Thursday, we're doing a church sewing class thing. Huh? Sew Dream Huddle. Yeah. So it's going to be this Thursday at 6:30. So you guys should definitely come and check that out this week. And I believe that's all the announcements I have. But we are going to play a game today. So if I could have my friend Annalise come up and help me really quick. It's fine. Okay, so this is what we call the cup game. We can go up on the stage so they can see. But pretty much, all of you guys are gonna have to pair off with somebody else, so start looking for your buddy really quick. But once you do, you're gonna get a cup, and I'll be up on the stage, and I'm gonna say head, shoulder, knees, toes, knees, ears, cup. And then whoever gets the cup wins, and we're gonna keep going until we have a winner. Okay, are you guys ready for that? Okay, so get up. I know, we're comfortable and seated. Let's get up. Okay, do we all have a partner? Annalise up here has some cups. She'll help you guys get them. Okay. If I could get a little bit of music, Nathaniel, that'd be pretty cool. Who doesn't have a partner? You don't have a partner? Okay, hold on. Hey, Annalise. He needs a partner. Okay. Does everybody have a cup? Yeah, we're good on this side. We're good on this side. We're good back there. Okay. I think everybody's good. Okay, are we ready? Head. Shoulders, knees, toes, shoulders, ears, eyes, mouth, nose, cup. Okay, if you didn't get the cup, you're gonna have to sit down really quick. Okay, and if you still have your cup, find another person. Okay. Did we all find our new partners? Who still needs a partner? I think Bree needs a partner. Okay, perfect. Okay, are we all ready? Okay. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, cup. Lindsay. I saw that. That was kind of scary. Okay. Let's find a new partner. And if you guys are still playing, if we can move up more towards the front so I can see y'all. Who still needs a partner? You do? Okay, who doesn't have a partner? It's okay, you can play next round. Just stay. Okay, are we ready? Elbows. That was not your elbow. I'm sorry, that was mean. Okay, knees, ears, knees, toes, ears, cup. Okay. We got some winners. Okay, if you're still playing, please come up here. Okay. It's okay. I think it's fine. You can get it. Okay. You got it, Lindsay. Okay. Head. Oh. Head. Shoulder. Ears. Elbows. Knees. Ears. Knees. Toes. Elbows. Cup. Oh, Lindsay. Okay, one more round. Okay. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, nose, elbows, ears, cup. Oh, nice job, Hayden. Good job. Good job, Hayden. You killed it. Congrats. I always knew you could. You had it. Good job, Hayden. Okay, so tonight is a little bit of a different night. We actually have our fam series, and we're gonna be talking about like marriage and relationships tonight. So we're gonna have a really cool panel up here. But before they come up, I'd just like to pray over the night. And so we can bow our heads and close our eyes. Heavenly Lord Father, I thank you for all of the people that you brought into this room tonight, God. I thank you for all the speakers and everybody that just came in today, because they're here for a reason, God. I pray that you would just move through the speakers and they would just be able to speak your word and give just so much knowledge and truth, God. And I pray for all the people in this room. I pray that they would be open-minded, and anything that might be burdening them right now, God, I pray that you would lift it off of them, God. And I just pray that you would give them the boldness to ask the questions. And I just pray for this night, God. It's going to be awesome. In Jesus' name, amen. So I'd like to welcome up our speakers. I don't know where Isaiah is, but he's coming. Woo!
What's happening, guys? Come on, you guys. Come on, speakers. The panelists. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, if you guys don't know me, my name is Isaiah. I am one of the leaders here at Young Adults. You guys, we have an absolute fire panelist. I'm not going to introduce every single one of them. I want them to introduce themselves and just kind of what they have accomplished in life and some of the fun things that they've done as a couple. My wife will be joining me soon. Oh, she's over there. She was feeding JoJo. You guys, if you haven't submitted a question yet, to submit questions, it should be showing up on the screen. You guys could submit it either on Instagram, or you could text my cell and I will ask the question that you guys had. So, you want to right here, babe? Okay, so, all right, so we'll just start with Christina. She can introduce herself real quick.
Hey, I'm Christina. What's up, guys? I'm Christina. I'm married to Isaiah, just in case you didn't know. We're the co-directors of Young Adults, and that's it. Pass it. Oh, and we've been married 6.5 years. It'll be 7 years in July.
Is this on? My name is Jeremiah. This is my wife,
Danielle.
We've been married for 7 years in November and together for a little over 11.
My name is Josh. This is my wife, Bree. Hi.
We've been married almost 5 years. 5 years next month, March 28th. Yeah.
And I'm Eric Hansen, and this is my wife Rachel, and I'm the men's ministry director here, a volunteer, and
We've been married 20 years. Yeah.
and we have four.
I'm Rachel.
We have four children, ages 19 through 14.
Yeah. Only Eric actually said something cool about themselves when he did it. He's the men's director. And so that was really great. Rachel is the next steps.
I'm the next steps director here at Centerpoint Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Josh and Bree, what you guys got going on? You know, something on Instagram, maybe a little. No? Nothing?
That's funny. Yeah. I just started creating and putting out like Christian rock music.
Yeah, it's
for,
great.
For the world to enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then
I go under the name Caddy and Co.
Yeah.
And this is Co.
Is the not in a weird way, but is the coast supposed to grow like with a band or something?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
just didn't. It didn't feel right to just make solo music like as
Yeah.
Josh Caddy or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, Caddy and Co.'s for Caddy and Company.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Lord will provide a band. If it grows to a point of where it necessitates playing shows, like I'll actually have a band and play.
For sure. Man, did you, this is a true or false question, did you or did you not ever compose or be a part of some type of music that was played for Marvel at one point?
True.
True. Bro, this guy, he was on it, so he's
You guys
absolutely star.
seen the show Earth's Mightiest Heroes? Marvel Earth's Mightiest, the Avengers it's on Disney Plus right now. You can watch it.
Yeah,
Nice show.
let's throw it on the screen right now.
That theme song that I helped write and sang that theme song. So,
Yes.
but like way back in
Dude.
like 2010.
Give it up for Josh. That's pretty amazing. Like, how many people have composed music for Marvel? That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're basically like a part of an Avenger, you know?
I
Basically.
am, dude.
You are.
You know what's crazy?
You are.
I literally, when I was there, I was like, hey, I could do more than sing this song. Like, how do I audition to be anything? I really tried. I did.
You trying to be Thor? No,
I was like, dude, I was like, what do I got to do? Like, how do I get an audition?
Perfect. Okay.
That's awesome.
Jeremiah and Danielle, what's cool things you guys are doing? You guys are studs.
I do the social media and photography for Centerpoint. Just
Yeah.
started like maybe about a month or two ago. And then my wife and I own our own business called Arc Theory. And the idea behind Arc Theory is that everybody has an arc or a calling or a mission in their life that they're supposed to pursue. And so we use our platform to basically encourage people to go out and build their ark. It's derived from the story of Noah's Ark that, God gave Noah a call to build an ark, and it didn't make sense to him at the time, but God said there's a flood coming, and I need you to step out of your comfort zone and do something for me. And so that's kind of like what our business represents. So that's what our business represents. And
Yeah.
so, we've been doing that pretty full time for the last 2 years, and are kind of continuing to just keep it growing and keep encouraging people.
They're very humble. Very humble. I'm not as humble for them, but you gotta appreciate their humility. They said that they're growing it and everything like that. It's 104,000 followers on Instagram. That is a massive following. I feel like that is not something that is just happens by chance, but that's something that they strategically put in place. And their arc was building art in mirrors and kind of canvas art with plaster, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And God just sprinkled some dust on that and sprinkled some water on it, and it just grew. And now you guys have a podcast with over almost 5,000 followers. I watched it. It's an amazing podcast. You guys could watch it too. I think it's just called The Arc Theory. The Arc Theory, yeah. So there's one thing I want to do for you guys tonight. How many of you guys do have a passion or a hobby that you would love to maybe make a business out of it one day? I see one. I see two. Okay. There's loads. Okay, those people, here's what I'm telling you to do. there's not a lot of opportunities where you come across people that can really help you grow in life. And so when you have those opportunities, you got to take them. So all those people that just rose your hands, that's the first step. The next step is come talk to me afterwards. I want to get you guys connected with them in some like special way. Okay, they do have a course that they sell, and I want to help be a part of your journey. So I'm not gonna come reach out to you. I want you guys to reach out to me. You guys know who I am. That's your guys' first step. So if you do have a passion or something, that's why we want to be a part of your guys' journey. So in a real way. So they've already had success story in that, and I want to help you guys. All right, we're done with all of that stuff. We're gonna talk about marriage. We're talking about marriage, and thank you guys for laughing at my jokes. So we'll just go, and you guys can we'll start off with some light questions, and we'll go. This time we'll start with Rachel and Eric. We'll go to Josh and Bree, and then Jeremiah and Danielle. And so I'll let Christina ask the first question.
Oh, where did you meet?
I met Eric at a bar on vacation in Palm Springs. That's it.
Was it love at first sight?
Basically.
For Eric, it was.
Took her a couple months.
I'll be honest, I was really drunk when I met him, and then he kept calling me for months after and saying, "You don't remember how well we got along?" And he just kept calling me, and I was like, I don't want a boyfriend. And then I finally said, "Okay, if I go out with you one time, will you stop calling me?" And he said yes, and then we got married less than a year later, so
Wow.
he knew. Yeah, that's the story.
How'd it go for you, Eric? Is that the same story?
Yeah, that's how it happened.
We have different stories of how it went down for us, apparently.
But I honestly had no doubts going into it that it was going to work out.
When you know, you know. Josh and Bree?
Okay, we met at our old church, not here at Centerpoint, and that's where we met. He was leading worship a few times, so he kind of caught my eye. Honestly, he caught my eye the first time he walked into the parking lot, but we didn't start hanging out till a lot later on.
And how did you guys actually connect, make that moment?
People were setting me up on blind dates from our church because they knew I was single.
Ooh.
The ladies were like,
Interesting.
some of the older ladies.
Yeah, for some of you.
Crazy.
No, and I went on a few of them, and for whatever so it was the third one. After the third one, I knew who Bree was at the church. Bree served in youth ministry, and I would also see her skateboarding sometimes in the parking lot. And so, but like, there's a age gap between Bree and I, so like, literally didn't even like, it wasn't like a thing in my mind at all. I was just like, oh, there's a person skateboarding. That's cool. Until I went to a prayer meeting, and Bree was the only other young person at this prayer meeting, and like the Lord was just like, hey, you should pay attention to that girl. And then literally from that moment, the next Sunday, I asked her dad, because their family went to the church, and I said, hey, Scott, I'm a lot older than Bree, but how would you feel of me just like asking her for her number and like going to coffee or something? And he was like, oh, bro, she's got a good head on her shoulders. She would pick a better guy than I would any day. I remember him saying that. He's like, you got my blessing, bro. Go for it. And then that started the journey.
Wow. That's awesome.
Okay, so we met, I was a senior at Mesa High School. He had just graduated, and we kind of knew of each other, but we officially met at a concert that we were both at separately. And then since we recognized each other, I went up to him, and then I even messaged him first on Facebook.
Whoa.
And yeah, and it started from there. And so it's all because of me.
No complaints.
Ladies, you could start the relationship too, I guess, apparently. Don't be shy.
No, take initiative.
Yeah.
Take initiative.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is when you know, you know.
Vintage snap. No, I'm just joking.
No, don't listen to that. Okay.
What about how we met? Are we answering
Oh.
questions or no?
No,
No, you don't want to answer?
they know.
They know how we met?
Oh, okay. You want to know? Okay, we met at a student accounts line at our college called Oral Roberts University in Oklahoma, and we were waiting literally in line for an hour and a half. And Isaiah, there was me, a girl behind me, and Isaiah was with his buddy. They were talking to this girl and saying something. And if you know anything about me, sometimes it's hard for me to stay out of things. And he was saying something that was wrong. So I turned around, and this is my story, okay? I had a microphone. He was saying something that I was like, I don't think that's right. And so I turned around and I was like, oh, hey, actually, blah, 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 blah. That's how I remember. This is legitimately how I remember the story. You enticed me into conversation, remember?
But not for something wrong.
Yeah, you know, to each their own. Anyways, I was right. And so yes, and then we talked the whole time for the rest hour and a half that we were waiting in line trying to get registered for the school year. He was a senior and I was a sophomore, and we met his spring semester, so just as he was leaving, which was pretty cool.
God made us get $130,000 in student loan debt just to meet each other. That's all I'm saying. He uses all things.
But it's forgiven and our debt is paid literally. So praise
Not
God.
all. Most of it. Okay. Our next question for you guys, lighthearted questions right now. Who said I love you first? We'll start with Danielle.
I said I love you first. I think we were.
On Skype.
On Skype. On Skype.
It sounds horrible to say, but in the context of the conversation that we were having, it was just like a very appropriate time. And so, yeah, it was on Skype.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like we don't have a cool I love you story.
Skype is
But-
the old FaceTime.
Yeah. I mean, this was 2013,
Yeah, no
you know, so
FaceTime
this
yet,
is
yeah.
way before
Yeah.
FaceTime. And so, yeah.
I did.
Yeah. It was just one of those like late night phone calls that was just, you know, sharing life together.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of in the moment. But
That's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. What about you guys?
Josh said it first, and it took me a minute to get there. I love him, but I was just in like a really tough place in life. So like literally, we went out to coffee, and then we went out to coffee again. Okay, so second date, and like we're having coffee, we're chatting, everything's going good, and then he puts his head down, and he's like, and I'm like, oh shoot, like what did I say? Are you okay? He's like, I just don't know what to do with you because, like, I love you and I feel like I could marry you. And I'm like, and I was very flattered. I was flattered and also like, oh, shoot, at the same time, you know? But
Shoot. Go ahead, Josh.
I knew inside, I was just I was scared, you know? He's like, I was married up and everything, you know? So, you can tell your
Well, that is true what she said. but also, we talked for like 5 hours at that coffee date, so so we were getting deep.
Yeah.
No, but in all honesty, and I thought about this earlier because this is a part of our story and falling in love and everything. And my life before Jesus did not include anything like faithfulness or seeking a woman of character and seeking a woman who also was seeking the Lord in her own life, like at all, farthest from that. And so Bree was the first woman that I dated in my walk with the Lord. And so I had a completely and radical mindset shift from where I was before, you know? My goal this time was like, so my heart was really like, you know what? I see your actions. I see who you are. I see the beauty of the Lord in you as well as the beauty that my eyes see. I see someone that I could love forever and be obedient to that love. So that's what like just burst out of me.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I feel like I love you. I can marry you. It was because I knew that that's the way that God designed it, and I believed it like that. You know, like whatever differences and challenges we might face, I believe what I've read in the Word and what I've heard from pastors talking about biblical love, and I believe that I could submit myself to God as that kind of husband for you. You know what I mean? Like that was, I just didn't have the words to say all that in that moment to breathe. You know what I mean? But that's like what it meant. That's like what
That's what it meant.
that was like, you know what I mean? Like that was what I was trying to convey. I was like, I just don't know what to do. I love you. I can marry you.
I love you. I can marry you. That's beautiful.
Anyway.
That's beautiful. What about you guys?
We don't remember the answer to this question.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night, and we have no recollection of who said what when.
She probably said it first.
I'm sure she would. Maybe said it at the bar.
I don't think.
We don't remember that.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
It's quite possible, but we don't remember. We're old. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll have some questions that you maybe do remember. You know?
Okay.
For sure. No, I'm gonna answer this one real quick. And so I took Christina up to the top of Mount. What was the mount called? Mount Scott. And I professed my love to her, and I said, "I love you," and she was silent and didn't say absolutely no word whatsoever. And so, hey, chill. No, we're moving on to the next question. No, I was wrong last time, so that's fine. No, she didn't say I love you. She was working out her own, whatever issues or whatever. But she knew she loved me. She knew she loved me. I was actually going to Tanzania at the time, so she didn't she still was trying to figure things out. But she loved me. But she didn't say it out loud, you know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't get rejected. My I love you did not get rejected. I knew she loved me, okay? I was trying to lock it up before I got to Tanzania, basically. I was like, look, girl, I love you. Don't be going around talking to no guys, because I'm coming back for you. So anyways, ask the next question.
To be fair, I did have a response, and it was Isaiah Campbell. That's all I said. And I said, we sat in silence for a really long time.
15 minutes, I'm like, okay, she good. We're holding hands.
But then he told me I didn't have to say it back, and I was like, ooh, what a relief. We dated for 1 month, you guys. He was really eager.
There was pressure.
So something that Josh said kind of sparked the next question for me. I think I'm gonna go off script, but how was your dating relationship in regards to your faith, and how did that combine together while you were dating?
Am I going first? Oh. Well, when Eric and I met, we were both Christians, but I've been a Christian my whole life, and Eric became a Christian in high school. And so I was 21 when I met him, and you were 24?
Yeah.
And so he was out of college, but I would say at the time, so when I actually met him at the bar that time, I was actually using all of this Christian language. And so he was like, "Oh, are you a Christian?" And I'm like, "Yeah," And so, but I would say we weren't really very serious about our faith at that time. And I don't think we got much more serious as a couple about our faith until, I don't know, a few years after we got married, probably. So it was always kind of there and something that we talked about, but I would say that we were not on fire for God, and it wasn't really the driver of our relationship. But at the same time, I would say it was kind of the thing that I think kind of brought us together in a weird way, but it wasn't the center.
We did start going to church as a couple, after we got married, and that it was kind of there's a concept in the Bible about being equally yoked with somebody if you're going to be together, and I think but we would have been pulling like the smallest little like cart that you could get two little bulls to pull, you know. So we grew together.
You guys are
We grew together.
That's awesome. There's a power in growing together, I feel like.
Whoever wants to go next.
We first started dating. I grew up Christian as well, but it was kind of like a Christian by default. Like my parents brought me to church every Sunday. But we started dating when I was 18, and so I was kind of I wasn't like anti anything, but I just didn't have a very close walk with God. And then when we got together, at the time, she was going to church with her family, and her family grew up Orthodox. And so there was just a very different dynamic from church culture. And so maybe about a year into our relationship, we started going to church together, and she had kind of left the Orthodox church and started coming to church with me and my family. And then we would go together, but again, it wasn't this like very like secure, close walk with God. It was kind of like you'd go to church on Sunday, but that was about it. And then I think just over the years, like there was always just that like kind of common thread in our life. And I have like a really incredible mother that just prays like there's no tomorrow. And so like I just feel like throughout the entirety of our relationship, like just having parents, and that is a hack, like make sure that your significant other relationship with the parents, like just pay attention to that. I'm not saying that they have to have a great relationship with their parents, but I think that there is things that you can take from how your significant other's relationship with their parents is, and how that plays into your relationship, whether good or bad. Because I think like a lot of times like you can have bad parents and a very good kid, and it's because they learned what not to do, and you can have very good parents and kids learn what to do. And so I think for us, like we just had good examples in our life, and we just had people around us that really did like encourage us to do the right thing. And I think that we respected them enough to be able to kind of follow that, whether or not we realized how much of it we were doing at the time. And then I think it seems crazy to say, but over the last probably like 3 or 4 years, I'd say we really started to take our faith walk seriously, and really just started to like dive in and just get close and pray together. And I think that was something that was really hard for us at the beginning. It was kind of like I would pray separately and she would pray separately, but to be able to pray out loud together is something that I think just brought us so much closer and closer to God. And then I think just getting like plugged in just allowed that to grow. And then we had our daughter 3 years ago, and that just like wrecked me entirely in terms of my faith walk. In a good wrecked me in the best way possible. I mean, like in terms of like my walk with God radically changed when we had our daughter, because I think there's just so much parallel from your relationship with like as a father to my daughter, and then my relationship with God the Father, and just seeing how that dynamic has changed us. And so I think that we just started to really question everything when we had kids, of just like how do we want to live, what kind of example do we want to be, what do we want them to grow up around, who do we want them to grow up around. And so we went through this like radical transformation of just like really identifying things in our life that were negative and things that were, not bringing us joy, not life-giving. And that included, being willing to set some boundaries around like friendships and friend groups, and just different things that we were involved in. And so, yeah, I think, I've always looked to her as like somebody that I'm running with, like we run together in this race. And it's not like, I think when you're finding a partner, like finding somebody that you can chase after God with is like one of the most incredible things. Like we never felt like we had to like pull her along this journey. And I think there's a time and a place for that, but like I've always looked to her as like she just has her eyes on Jesus no matter what she's doing. And so it's been like awesome for me to be able to just like look at that and be able to grab like hand in hand and just like charge forward.
I think one thing we were talking about earlier, which kind of you guys just touched on, was like when we were dating, everything was definitely like revolving around Jesus and honoring him and making sure that like it was in his will and everything. But one thing that I love and loved about Josh, like, and I'm sure it's reciprocated, is like it's very important to look at the fruits of a person's life. Like we read in Galatians 5, I think like 19 through 22 or something, like the fruits of the Spirit. And so like when I talk to young people today who are like dating and stuff or trying to, like I hear a lot, I think, that they can't tell if the person's Christian because they say that they are, but like they don't really want to go to church. You know, they're kind of like in between. So like I think one thing that I was just talking to you about earlier was just like the fruits of his life were so evident and clear that he loved Jesus, and his intentions with me and like respect for me and respect for the Lord were so clear. I had like no doubt about his faith, about his walk with God, and I think that's like a really key thing that any of you should be looking for if you are like in the dating scene, I guess, is the person very clearly serious about the walk. And then like of course we have to look at ourselves too, but that was like very, very like amazing to me and important to me that it was just so clear and like evident.
Okay, so we do have some questions that were submitted. Let's see. So they're asking, can we speak on the importance of waiting until marriage to grow closer to God? I want to rephrase that a little bit, because I want to get some juicy stuff flowing, I want to talk about some real stuff. We're all spiritual here, but we have flesh and spirit, that we live with. So we do have a spirit side, but let's talk about this thing. So as you're dating, basically, how far is too far, and what kind of boundaries do you have to set for yourself to wait for marriage, And if you did fail in that way, which is fine, you can talk about the failures, what advice would you give if if you could look back on your time, like, okay, this is how I felt, what advice can you give them? Because I think that's where the question's going for, is like, how far is too far for a couple?
Okay. How far is too far? I wish that person was here because I would just ask them what they thought was too far. But, well, they are here. So who was it? I'm just kidding.
They didn't ask this question.
I'm teasing.
They asked the nicer one. Waiting till marriage.
I'm totally teasing. I think that, I have a daughter. Well, I have older kids that are older teenagers. I have one in college and then one who's turning 18 tomorrow. And then I have two other ones. But I think that, first of all, I think it's important when you go into a relationship with somebody to set those boundaries up front to determine how far is too far. And I don't think it's subjective. Like, I really think that you should just stick to kissing. That's what I think. I'm just gonna that's what I think is too
kissing
far. Is good.
Is it like making out kissing? Because these are questions people gotta know. Can both feet be on the bed, or should feet be on the floor laying down? We gotta know. What kind of kissing? This is the stuff.
I speak on behalf of Rachel Hansen right now, not on behalf of Centerpoint Church.
Okay, okay. Let's clarify here. Everything that we're talking about is perspective based on our own perspectives, like that experiences that we went through. So fact check it with the word, and we'll go from there. We'll try to bring scripture if we can, but we're talking off the cusp.
Yeah, well, I want to say the reason that I said kissing is because it's just so easy to take it to the next step after that. Like, once you do one thing, then you're like, that gets boring after a while or something, and then you just slip into like doing, the next thing. And I was actually just talking to Isaiah outside, and he was like saying, it doesn't really matter like how holy you are if you're in the wrong situation at the wrong time. Like, it's just really hard to restrain yourself. It's basically can be impossible. So, I mean, I don't really know. I've never thought of like feet on the floor, but I'm just saying, like, keep your hands to like appropriate places, and
Right?
you can. I don't know if your feet can be on the floor or on the bed, but I'm just saying, keep your clothes on and keep your hands in appropriate places. I think it's okay to make out.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Leave room for Jesus.
That's okay. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would say making out also,
Okay.
in terms of the spectrum
Yeah.
of where things can go. What base are you on, or if you're making out? What base is that? That's base 1. That's first base.
So you could get to first base.
Stay on first base. The only thing, I agree, Rachel, with everything that you said. With that, be very mindful of the situations that you put yourself in, that you allow yourself to be in with that person, because even your best intentions, even your most mindful, Jesus-loving heart, in the wrong situation, you're just like, oh, dang, what happened? But with that, I want to say also, just like most things that we naturally feel desire for, I think God has wired us in a way that when you do give yourself completely to another human being, there is a unique and there is some sort of bond, maybe even a spiritual bond that happens between you and that person. And then if it's not in the covenant of marriage, and especially if you're seeking the Lord and that happens, I mean, Holy Spirit is going to nudge your heart and tell you and say like, hey man, was that really the right thing to do? I mean, you're going to feel that weight. You're going to feel that weight, and you're going to have that conversation with the Lord. And but also doing that outside of marriage, just it puts you in a place of extreme vulnerability, because now
Yes.
that person can walk away from you at any point because they have not made that covenant with you. And so you just gave yourself completely to another human being, and they don't owe you anything. They don't have to submit themselves before the Lord to you in any kind of way, because they haven't made that covenant. And so you're completely exposed and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that decision that you may have wanted so badly, you know, I mean, we are designed to crave that or to want that, to everything that comes with it, the closeness, the bond, the feelings, you know, it's going to hurt really bad when that person decides to walk away. Or when you feel like you want to walk away and you're like, dang, I want to walk away from this person, but I did that with them. I'm going to hurt them. So
I think, like, in addition to the vulnerability, like, you also get a bunch of confusion, too. If you're stuck in a toxic relationship, like, it can be very confusing and blinding if you guys are engaged in, like, lustful acts, or, like, you guys are having sex, and you're, like, sitting there, like, dude, this relationship's so bad, it's toxic, like, it's just, I need to get out of it. But, like, you're going to find yourself, months are going to drag by because you don't know how to separate yourself from that person due to, like, what you guys are engaging in. So I think, like, with the vulnerability, it also blinds you a lot. Because how do you, like, really differentiate if this person really loves you and you really love them, like, before the Lord, I mean, like, authentically, and not lustfully? Because that attachment's really strong. Like, when you guys get into lust, like, I think it's very confusing, and it leaves you in a very vulnerable place to be hurt too. So it's just better to be good, really.
I
Also,
wanted to
Pastor
say one
John,
other thing.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry. I just want to add that I really don't believe in long engagements at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I can just say, like, fast forward on your relationship, you're going to think at some point she's crazy. She's going to think you're a jerk. You know, you're not going to find the perfect person. And so if you have, like, a foundation where you guys are, like, of one accord, like, in your faith and your life expectations, and you know, those basic requirements are met, you're attracted to one another, I think you should just go, like, get married very quickly after your engagement.
Yeah.
And that kind of dovetails with this whole discussion on purity, because it's going to be harder to wait once you're engaged as well. So, just my 2 cents.
The only other thing I would say is, like, I feel like it can be very dangerous to tell people where that line is, but I think the truth is that each person knows where their line is. And so you have to be willing to have enough self-control to understand where your line is. and then be open enough with that other person to communicate that. Because I think a lot of times, like, unspoken rules get broken. And so when you're not willing to communicate with that person, you definitely shouldn't be sleeping with that person.
Yeah.
And so if you can communicate that and you guys are both on the same page and in agreement with that, that's a good sign that you guys are on the same page. But if one of you is pushing the other person, a lot of times when you get in the heat of the moment, like, that person is going to have more of the power because they're constantly nagging at you and trying to get you to do something that maybe you don't want to do. So I think it's just important for us to take an honest look at ourselves, understand where we might be vulnerable, what our past might have looked like, maybe past relationships that we've been in, maybe we've messed up in the past, and be willing to be open and honest with the person that you're communicating with, to say, like, hey, like, I don't feel comfortable with that, or that is a little too far. And I think, for most people, where your own line is. So to say, like, making out for one person might be fine, but for another person, it could be too far because it's the gateway into everything else. And honestly, it's the gateway drug to sex. But, like, it really is. Like, all it takes is that one moment to kind of push you over the edge. And I think just having enough discernment to be able to look at your own life honestly. And I think, I don't want to speak on behalf of all men, but I think oftentimes the men are the ones that are typically pushing it more. And a lot of times women are the ones that are thinking that I have to do this because otherwise he'll leave me, or otherwise, he's going to go tell somebody else, or maybe he'll leave me for somebody who will do that. And so they almost trade it as a way to keep themselves in the relationship. And so I think as people that are trying to do the right thing and stay in line with what God intended sex to be, we just need to be more honest about where we're at.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Definitely, my wheels are turning. Eric had a good point about meeting somebody and kind of getting married a little faster than what society would probably tell you to do, or even what your close, like, your people that you look up to. People look up to you would be like, oh, don't get married, all this stuff. I don't know why, but they do. They do say that, people around you. So it kind of leads into another question we had is, how long should it take for you to know, like, he or she is the one? Maybe you could talk about your personal experience and maybe, what it should take.
Well, I went surfing with a friend like the weekend after I met Rachel at the bar. This is about 2 months before our first date, and she still wouldn't even take my phone calls at this point. But I told my friend that I told my friend that I think I might have met the person I could possibly marry. So I think you might potentially know pretty quickly. And I never really had a serious girlfriend. Honestly, I was 24 when I started dating her. I think my longest relationship up to that point was maybe like 3 months, because I just was, I never, if I couldn't see a future in it, I was never interested. And for some reason with Rachel, I just like knew I wanted to take it to the next level. So I think you kind of know quickly.
I mean, once I actually went out with him, then I seemed to know, like, from the time that we went out, which was in October, and then we got married in July of the next year. We got engaged in May, and then we got married in July. And so obviously we knew pretty quick. I think there's something interesting happening with this younger generation. No, like in current culture, which is, people are putting off marriage, and there seems to be like this negative connotation, like surrounding getting married, or you need to have fun, or you need to get your life in order first, or you need to, do all of these things before you can get married. So it's getting, pushed out. And I really like push back against that. I don't think that you need to have all of these things. I don't think you're gonna there's not this like place of healing that you have to get to before you can find the right person. I think when you're going into a dating relationship or considering somebody, like I would tell my own child, if after 6 months, like you don't know, like then you know. That's how I would feel. Like if you don't know by then, like I could see myself with this person forever, then I think you know. And so I'm not saying you all need to run out and get engaged after 6 months. Please don't go do that. You can, but I'm not putting a decree out there. But I just think that if you know that they're not the right person, then like, on to the next. So, yeah.
And just one other thing about the like knowing and engagement. If you think about like our divorce rate in this country is so high, and then like I think the lowest divorce rates are like countries where they have arranged marriages. And honestly, you think about what is that?
Yeah.
It's two families that hold the same like value system, and and that's really like the whole basis. And if you just like find, like I said, find somebody that you have the same values, you have that foundation, and don't wait. Just go for it. You have a probably a much better chance of staying together and being happier.
Yeah.
Anything else? You guys don't have to answer each question. Yeah, by the way. This one is kind of fun. If you're long distance or going on vacation together, is it okay to stay in the same place to save money?
The economy is bad out there. We need to save money, guys.
We a bunch of broke young adults. We still want to go on vacation. What should we do?
This goes to the boundary things we were talking about just earlier.
Is it okay to stay in the same? No, come on. I feel like that is. I know. Yeah. No. There you go. No, I don't know. I just feel like that really does just put you in like a temptation that is gonna be really, really hard to fight. And yeah, it's awesome, put the boundaries up and everything, but we are also human and we have the fleshly desires that are very, very strong. And I feel like it's super exciting to like take these trips and go on adventures and go on vacations, but also you can do that when you're married. And I think that it's even more exciting to be able to do that with your spouse and experience like not only the vacation, but like all the other fun stuff that you get to do as a married. And just not even have that like pressure of like just not putting yourself in situations that are gonna be really hard to overcome. But yeah, just like saving even that for marriage. It's been like so fun to be able to like travel together, go on vacations together, and experience that like with my spouse. And we still did like adventures and we like went places, but I feel like, I don't know, you don't have to have a fun dating life, an exciting dating life. There's so many things that you could do. I feel like you don't have to do that, but that's just me. I don't know.
Well, my question, did you guys ever, whenever you went out, did you guys ever go on vacation, stay with one another, or how did that look like?
We didn't. When
Okay.
we did like one little like vacation, but we went with our family, so
Okay.
there wasn't much of a temptation.
Yeah.
And my sister, yeah. So no, we didn't. We just didn't want to put ourselves in that situation. And I feel like really early on, like we knew we wanted to marry each other. And if it was up to me, we would have got married at 18, but we waited until we were 22. But yeah, no, we didn't. And we saved that to experience that as like a married couple.
Yeah.
We didn't really go on vacations or we just, we went on like day adventures and stuff,
Yeah.
but we didn't do like overnight stuff.
that's amazing. That's why we have them here, because they're the example. Me and Christina, no, we yeah. So what they're saying is so true, and I'll have more time to talk about it. But yeah, a fun conversation came up. It was like we stayed in Puerto Rico. Her mom and dad had us all in they put us in one room together. Like, that was crazy. I thought about that. I was like, oh shit.
This man is playing it up more than it is. All right.
It was weird.
We weren't even kissing yet at that
We
point.
were. Okay, babe, you're not thinking.
We had our first kiss in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we had our first kiss that night.
That's right.
We had our first.
That's right. Okay. No, Isaiah and I, to be authentic, our hearts were to pursue purity, and we really wanted to. We didn't go on vacations one-on-one together while we were dating. We did go mainly with my family a few times, and it wasn't like bad when we went, but I think where we hit our stumbling block was after we got engaged. Yeah, and that's where we felt more into like the sexual sin and things like that, where we struggled to refrain. And even then, our hearts were always convicted and wanting to do right, but once you open that door, it's really difficult. And so that's kind of where our struggle was actually more during our engagement time. And that was mainly too, Isaiah can share maybe more later, but he was actually felt called by the Lord to not kiss until he got married. So that actually helped our relationship a ton, because it took a lot, like making out, like you said, was like the gateway. And so it took a lot off the table for us to truly get to, and we were apart. He was in Africa for 7 months. You know, the Lord was really doing a work to keep us apart. Praise God. So it was really good. Long distance, 10 out of 10, actually. I recommend it.
And I'm gonna speak more. You guys come, if you guys want juicy stuff about me and Christina, come next week. I'm gonna be unfiltered, okay? But yeah, be back. No, because I think it's important to talk about some of the things that we struggle with, especially because I had such a call from God to do that, and I failed. You guys communicated. Your boundaries with one another. We didn't set boundaries. We communicated.
Not good ones.
Okay, yes.
Not good ones.
Because what I'm trying to say is, and I want to like break the ice a little bit. Like, sex isn't bad. We're designed to have sex. Yeah. If you have a sexual drive for the person you're dating for, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're supposed to be so madly attracted to that person. Like, you, for lack of a better term, you want to just be all over them. That's just kind of how it's supposed to be. That's why you want to take the extra precaution to put yourself not in those crazy situations. That's why this conversation comes up. I had my own apartment. I had 2 roommates. I thought we were good. But when it comes to 5 o'clock in the morning, conversation got boring. So it's just like things happen late at night. And I love God so much with all my heart, all my soul, all my mind. And that didn't matter a thing when she's right there next to me, because we were just late night watching a movie. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you guys is like, yeah, we'll talk more about that next week. But I just wanted to say, because I feel like there is a lot of, spiritual, which is great, but I want to like let you know, like, sex is great. Yeah. And their sexual drive is from God. It's great that we establish those boundaries. You know what I mean? It's important to establish those boundaries, and that's kind of answers that question that we had. To establish those boundaries, it's important because God wants you to be faithful over the things that you have. And like I said, come next week. I don't want to talk too much tonight, but come next week. I have stuff to talk about that. So, anyways, what else you got?
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I think one thing that is helpful to think about while you're dating is literally practice for marriage. Yeah. And being able to learn how to self-control and to be able to be a good steward over your own body and what you do with it, I think is a very important thing to be able to hone in while you're dating, because there's going to be seasons in your life, in your marriage, where you may have to refrain from sex for whatever reason, whether it's an illness, whether it's a pregnancy, whatever the case may be. And if you haven't practiced that discipline while you're dating, you could go off the rails when you're married. And and that could be affairs, that could be pornography, that could be whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so, like, think of it as like a training session, that you are training your mind to be able to, like, bring those feelings to God. I know a lot of times it can be awkward to bring that type of conversation to the Lord, but he designed you to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
And so bringing them before him and saying, like, hey, I'm really struggling with this, he's going to convict you in a way that only he can, and he's going to be able to pull things out of you and shed lights on areas that you didn't even realize were there. And so I would just encourage you, like, don't suppress those feelings. Bring them to the feet of Jesus and allow him to do the work that he needs to on you, so you can be the person that your husband or wife is eventually going to need when you're in a married relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay,
These are some
those
from Instagram.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so go for it.
Y'all wrote that down, right?
That was.
Oh. Do you want to touch
No,
more on that?
no.
Okay. Okay.
I just wanted to say that.
Yo, that was good. Jeremiah, we're inviting you next week to speak, not me.
Yeah, that was awesome. This one is interesting. One of the messages that someone sent in was, how do you get over a breakup that you don't want to fully give up on?
In other words, we could talk about maybe also, it falls in line, maybe you could talk about your dating life before you met your spouse. Because that's where a lot of people are right now. They maybe dated before, but they're still in a season where they're finding their spouse. Either way. whoever
Anybody.
wants to
Yeah.
Go for it. Josh, we haven't heard from you guys yet.
I think it really depends on like why you guys broke up, obviously, but what I'm picking up on is like someone's in a lot of pain and heartbreak and they don't want to let go and lose that person, which is very normal. Before I had met him, I had gone through like a really rough time regarding this, like heartbreak and just like a really messy few years. And I remember thinking to myself like, or I should say like feeling very, very obviously depressed and heartbroken after, you know, breakups are hard, right? Like, I remember thinking to myself, like, there's no way, though, that God can't heal this heart wound and fill the void. Like, there's no way that he's incapable of taking care of this pain in my heart. And that goes for lots of things, like relationships or family struggles. So I think if you are struggling to let go of the relationship due to heartbreak and like missing the person so much, which is very natural, like God can heal those wounds, and ultimately like God's got to be the source of your everything. And I know it's hard for us to like wrap our minds around it, like because when you got the butterflies for a person, you're like crushing on them and you love them, like that's like the highest form of relationship, right? Like it's amazing. You look forward to seeing them all the time. You guys have fun. Like it's just the best feeling. So like you're like, how does like God, who I can't even like see, like fill that void? Like trust me, he can. He's the living water. He's everything that we need. So I think like if anybody was going through heartbreak and they can't let go of the relationship, like you bring that pain to the Lord. Like bring that pain to the Lord. I know that we don't read about Jesus going through a dating breakup, right? But we do read about him being completely abandoned by like the closest people to him. You know, when he got to the garden, like right before he was going to be like sent away to be crucified, like he was begging his friends, the disciples to like, hey, stay awake and pray for me. And they fell asleep. Like, and then they weren't even there when he was crucified. So like you are speaking to a God who knows rejection, knows abandonment, and like definitely knows how to weep. Definitely. So I would just say bring your pain before the Lord, or whatever else, like emotion it is that's keeping you in that place. So yeah.
Okay, I have 3 things. The first thing I wanted to say was going actually back to the discussion about waiting for marriage. I just wanted to pull this in again because I think that it's like that's just another factor to consider when you're thinking about waiting for marriage, and why is that when you have sex with somebody, it creates this much more intense bond that's meant to actually make two people one. That's what the act is, a representation of, is the act of making two people one. And so when you do that with a person and then you break, it makes the breakup 100,000 times harder, because you're not just doing the breakup of your life, you now have this spiritual tie to this person that you're never meant to have. That's only meant for a lifelong commitment, because the bond that happens through that act is meant to bind people together for their entire lives, So when you have sex before marriage, then you're creating this